podcast where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar De Jesus, and his co-host, John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Nation Live podcast with myself, your host, Edgar De Jesus. And yes, I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and the famous Zach, the Pool Boy Nicholas. Today, we talk to the pool girls of our industry. We talk to Amy Rulo. See, I messed that one up already, guys. Starting nice and early. Vice President, Service Division and Renovations at Pool Perfect. We speak to Jamie Novak, Director of Branding and Communications at Aquastar Pool Products. Alicia Stevens, Manager of Training and Education at BioLab. And to co-host this podcast, we welcome back Megan Kendrick, owner of Pool Pro Magazine. I want to welcome everyone to the live podcast, the podcast where it's all pool talk, and we ain't talking about netting and jetting and splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. And yes, we will talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Before we get started today, I want to thank our sponsors for this podcast, the Ultimate Pool Tools, the SPPA, Pool Invoice, and Blu-ray XL. We want to thank them for their continued support. John, good morning.
Good morning. So I'm thinking, since honor of having Megan as our co-host, right? We're going to get to do the good morning Megan and get her thoughts in the morning too, and the final thoughts, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. She's got final thoughts on this one.
Okay,
I
so I'm giving you
prepared for final thoughts.
I know. I'm never get prepared for them, and then now, or the good mornings, and now I just wing it, and it just ends up being better that way. So, good morning. I'm glad to be back. Took a little hiatus, a little vacation. Excited to jump back on the horse. We came back from a little vacation this week and got our butts kicked. 70-mile-an-hour winds, and it's been nonstop for God, since we got back, and it's pretty brutal. And I think Jamie, were you talking about? You said that you had some winds too, right?
I was just going to say I don't know anything about 55-mile-an-hour winds with a tree falling on my house last night. Not my house, my neighbor's house. So even better. So
yeah, it's pretty brutal. So, but anyways, I'm super excited to be on this. I want to sit back and kind of listen to the stories of everybody, and hopefully get to learn a lot. I'm gonna try to keep my rambling to a minimum, because we have many people on the podcast today, which is kind of exciting. I think our first biggest one we did was a year and a half ago when we had ladies on, and
yes.
And I thought that was truly, and no BS, was one of my favorite podcasts that we had, because it's always it's all stories, and how people got in the industry and the struggles and the things they've been through, and I think we have a pretty high-powered team of ladies here today. And somebody was talking about, are we a little nervous or maybe a little intimidated for the podcast? And I'm kind of sitting back for the first time going like, holy shit, man, I'm a little intimidated with these ladies here right now. So I'm like, I get it.
I was going to say, John.
I'm never lost for words, and I'm never like a little nervous or anything. I mean, I could talk to 1,000 people, because I'm the kind of guy who really doesn't give a shit what people think about me, and I'm going to say what I'm going to say regardless. But cool. I want to see how this goes, and I'm excited to have Megan on here filling in for Zach. Hopefully, Zach feels a little bit better. I think he's a little under the weather, right?
He was already messaging me, John. He was already messaging me, send me the link, and I didn't send it, and it went live, and he's like, "You're not live. Where's the link? Send me the link." And I'm like, "Dude, relax. It's coming." All of a sudden, he goes, "Okay, you're live. I got it."
Cool. So yeah.
And here's a confession, John. The only reason I asked everybody if anybody was nervous, is because I was kind of a little nervous, and I almost said, if I botch up the intro, it's that I'm a little nervous. And what did I do? But just
So many,
I
trust
think,
me.
yeah.
You'll
It'll
be
be
lucky to get a
interesting.
word in edgewise with this group. I'll be honest with you. So nothing to be nervous about with us.
Perfect.
Maybe about going over on time. That could be the problem, right?
But other than that, we're really harmless. We
Yeah, we don't bite.
are. No.
So, Amy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. How about you?
We're doing good and excited to have all you guys on. Jamie, you started your morning a little bit rough with that tree.
Yeah. I have to deal with that damage after this. So we're just living in a bubble where it didn't happen yet.
It didn't happen
Yeah,
yet.
yep.
So, yeah, hopefully it's all good.
Yes. Thank you.
Jamie, just so you know, I've swallowed about 85 puns about leaving it alone and, all that stuff. I can't, I just keep coming up with a new one and I just keep swallowing it back down. I can't help myself.
Oh my God.
So after the podcast, I'm just going to zing them at you one at a time.
And I'll be sending pictures, don't worry, of my tree leaning on my neighbor's roof. Can't wait.
Amazing.
Alicia, can you please share them now so that John and I can enjoy them? Right?
No, we have a pact.
Okay. So, Alicia, good morning.
Good morning.
Obviously been talking.
You said her
Megan,
name right. I'm so proud of you.
So, guys, I have lost
it is.
sleep
That's
over
an
this. I
accomplishment,
have
trust
lost
me.
sleep over this.
It's an accomplishment. So
Ask John.
for him to be able to do that, trust me, it's an accomplishment. So I'm very proud of you too, Ed.
Thank you. I had to change the spelling of the name so I could say it right.
It's okay. Nobody can see it spelled. All they do is hear it, right?
Well, it's one of those things when he looks at a word, and I think we've all done it, unless I'm the only weirdo. But when you look at something and you the simplest word that you're trying to spell, it doesn't look like it's spelt right. Like it could be as simple as like with or whatever, and it's just like, oh my God. He overanalyzes it and he tries and I can picture him. Leanne's sitting there and he's sitting there just reading it over and over and over and over and over again so he doesn't screw it up.
Practicing.
Oh, for sure.
Exactly what I do.
That is, we hit the podcast and the first thing he does is he trips and chips his front tooth every time. So
And it was on Amy's name, not even mine.
I know, it wasn't even Alicia.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the one that you don't worry about.
Because I was thinking, Amy's is the easiest one, and right as I started thinking already for yours, I botched it up right then and there. So, Megan, good morning.
Good morning. You said that you talk about being the reigning champ of Marco Polo. However, it might be me and Jamie.
Yes.
Because have you ever heard of the app Marco Polo?
No.
Okay, so there's an app where you can send people video messages, and I just went back and checked, and Jamie and I have been Marco Poloing each other since the beginning of the pandemic, and I just have like hundreds and hundreds of video messages between the two of us.
Always after hours. Always after work, right?
Yes, after work.
Always.
Yes, I mean, yeah. Usually, like we're in our pajamas and like haven't done our hair or makeup or anything, and so I think we may have beat you, at least in the Marco Polo app world.
That's what I thought he meant when he said it at first, and I was like, oh wait, no, there is a game in the pool.
Yes,
Marco
there
Polo.
is
It did come from somewhere. Yeah.
Yes, before this Marco Polo that we participate in, there was another one. But yeah, I think we've got you beat, Edgar. I think we are the new reigning champs of Marco Polo.
Sorry.
So
Yeah.
we'll have to
Check
change
that app
that
out.
intro, John. We're gonna have to change the intro there.
Or you're just gonna have to join our Marco Polo group, Edgar.
Right.
I'm
There you
sure
go.
I'm sure you'd really enjoy it. We talk a lot
catch up.
about skincare and makeup.
I
That's
just would like to
John.
warn
That's
you. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. John should get in on that one. He can get our skincare and makeup and
Yes.
facial tips.
And hair care products. He can jump in on some hair care products. Yeah.
Yep.
Edgar, just be aware, whatever you put on Marco Polo is providing like a video record of whatever you're doing. So
I don't know anything about that.
and always consider what you record before you record it.
Just make sure you've got that trust with the person who's receiving
Exactly
your Marco Polo. You got to have a
He's in the
circle of
trust tree.
trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to let you know, my 15-year-old daughter tortures me with these damn TikToks because she makes me do there'll be a dad or an old man TikTok where all the parents are doing it. So yesterday she had me doing one, And I'm like, okay, don't post that. She's like, okay. All of a sudden, I get a call from my older daughter going, hey, I just saw your TikTok. And I'm like,
That's a good dad right there. I don't think mine would ever do that.
so
I'm
hey,
definitely
guys,
I'm definitely looking that up.
Yeah.
before we get started, I want to give a shout out to a whole bunch of people that are listening live. Dom is on Facebook. We have Lauren, we've got Jeanette Horn, we have Ed, we have Maggie, and we have Sean. So big shout out to all you guys out there. Also big shout out to Jay Breakfield, which is on as well. So big shout out to all you guys out there listening. We have this cool little feature where all the messages come into one platform. Oh, there's Janie saying, what about me? So big shout out to Janie out there as well. So guys, if you guys have any questions for the Pooh Gals, then by the way, look at this. I just got a message from Brian Kerson from Hayward, and we have your show up in the MTV van. So just so
That's
awesome. You guys are out there at one of the vans. So big shout out to Brian. Big shout out to Hayward guys. Love you guys out there. I really appreciate that. So
That's cool.
all right, guys, let's get a couple things out of the way so we can get this podcast started. We have a button on our website at poolnation.com. So if you are, or if you have a question that you want to submit either to the podcast or for us to answer on the Instagram Live, go there, press that button, send that question in, and we will be able to answer your questions live. If you are live watching this podcast, go to any of the platforms, send the messages there, and we'll be glad to answer those. I also want to talk about the Western Pool and Spa Show in Long Beach. We will be there on the 10th, 11th, and 12th. For more information, you can go to www.westernshow.com. John and I will be there. John will be teaching 4 classes. One is adding value to your business with branding.
Time out. Time out. Slick.
Understanding business metrics, financials, and your cost of service. They do have some classes that John and I want to take. Wayne's going to be there. As all of you guys know, Wayne's going to be retiring in September. So definitely for sure want to go down memory lane there. The big thing, and John, listen to this. They have a $20,000 cash prize giveaway. So normally they do a truck, but there's issues with supply chain. So they're doing $20,000 cash. So we've been joking around that whoever wins the $20,000 cash has to take me and John to Vegas that Saturday night. So this week's shout out, John, goes to Adam from Big George Pool Care from Las Vegas. He sent us a message, John, via email last night and said, hey, I'm driving back to Vegas on Saturday after the show. And if I win the $20,000, I'm bringing you, John, and Wayne over to Vegas. So, Adam, big shout out to you out there. We look forward to meeting you. And now we're praying that you win the $20,000. Little trip would be good. So, anyways, Megan, I'm going to let you take the show from here on out.
Oh man, well, thanks for letting me co-host today, guys. This is really fun. So, I mean, and hello, friends. We have a bunch of questions for you, and we're so excited to have all of you women and ladies on the podcast today. But first, I think we should dive into each of your stories and your journey into the industry. So, Amy, you had the hardest time getting technology to work for you today. So I think we should start with you. Not give you a break at all to relax and settle in. I think we should just off the bat, let's get going right away with Amy. And also, I just met you in person for the first time last week at the NPC show. So a lot of this is going to be new info for me too.
I know it was wonderful meeting you when Jamie told me who you were. So it was amazing. So, and I had a great time. Wonderful last week. So glad I got to meet you. Glad we did our little photo shoot. And here we are.
Oh yeah. Well, so tell me about how you got into the pool industry. How did you end up on this podcast today?
Well, Edgar had posted something on LinkedIn about what actually from the Pool Pro magazine, your Pool Pro magazine, as a matter of fact.
That's right. We got women on our last cover.
Yep. So once all that and the post, I responded to that, and I was excited to see that there was something about women in the industry, and Edgar reached out to me after that. So been chit-chatting back and forth, and here I am. So my journey is pretty different, I think, maybe than some, maybe not different, but I started, once I graduated college, I was a school teacher briefly, worked for a grocery chain that was very popular in their equipment department and their maintenance department. You got married, had a child. Prior to that, my family had been in the industry. I swore I would never touch a pool because I ran around with them on weekends, tested and treated pools, fell into a few pools, got my foot stuck in a skimmer, and filled 5-gallon containers and delivered them to customers. So in my mind, never doing that. But I couldn't bear leaving them. So went back to my full-time job with this grocery. Missed my son. And my uncle had a pool company and said, hey, listen, there's a place here, but it's not corporate. But you can bring your son to work. So we set up a nursery. Little chair on my desk to rock him to sleep. I got to work with he also worked for my uncle's pool company. And I got to be with my son and got to be with him every day as well. So was it a glamorous job? Service division for commercial and residential did billing, but I was able to naps, a lot of family support, and there would my boys and come take them home to play, but knew that they were going to be close. So that's how my journey started, and then once I outgrew that, unfolded to get me to where I am today. So it's a small snippet. No one to bore everybody with all the details. But that's how I started to where I am today, Scott Payne Custom Pools, and I run Pool Perfect Service Specialist.
I mean, I don't think that's boring at all, and I think that's something that I've been talking to people about a lot lately. Is that I don't think that sometimes people realize some of the flexibility that comes with working in this industry. And as a working parent, that can be such a godsend. And like you go through periods in your life where that's more or less important to you, right? And when your kids are little, having flexibility and still being able to work is a huge benefit that I think a lot of us would give up a lot of things to be able to have. So I think that's a great story.
I lucked out. I really lucked out. The opportunity lies. And then as the boys got old, boys and 18 and a 16-year-old, I can't believe I'm saying that out loud. Told my age. They're amazing boys, and once they got into and had full days of school, that's when my career transitioned, and I could take on more. Obviously, what stinks the most is when they're not busy, which is summertime. We are the busiest because we are in the Northeast, or we're seasonal, and baseball. And third thing in the summer months, and I'm at work, 7, 8 o'clock at night. Shutting my phone off until my last guy's home, and we work till sundown. So, it's tough. But now they're older, and things have changed. Transition from grade school to middle school. I was able to transition into my answering telephones, retail and service division. Then from there, moving into a renovation, learning the pools into what I do today, which is work for a custom pool builder, and then also run the service division for the outdoor group.
So can you tell us a little bit about the companies that you work for now, a little bit of their history, and you kind of explained a little bit what they do, but is it your uncle's business? Is that what you said?
No, I left my uncle's
sorry
because where to go, right? His daughter was running his business with him, and that would have been, the logical next place that I would want to be. So in order to change and grow and learn more about the industry, I moved location since I started 18 years ago. I am with Scott Payne Outdoor Group, which is in Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania. Multiple divisions. There's the custom pool division that does all of our building. Pool Perfect Service Specialist, which is we build pools, so obviously we want to keep those pools. That's a brand new service division. It's 3 years young. Scott's custom pool, 8 years old. He's been like that he wanted to be in business for himself. Then we have Pool Refresh, which is our renovation division. we will be starting a commercial division as well as a fiberglass division over the next, I'm going to say several years. But we're in the process of getting legs to all that and starting. So obviously, we went from a 15 pool company to building over 100 pools this coming year. We've grown exponentially and have brought on staff to support that. So we do everything that has to do with the pool, servicing the pool, pool houses, patio, land. I said, if you have a backyard and you want a pool, we can take it with it. Pretty exciting. It's great stuff. We have a wonderful staff. Very fortunate. Third person hired for this company. 3 years. We are now at. So
Wow.
that can give you an idea of where we've been and where it's pretty.
That's impressive.
Very. So, Amy, what are your day-to-day responsibilities there at Scott Payne Custom Pools?
Kind of a little bit of everything. So my day normally starts with making sure my technicians are out on the road, making sure their schedules and their routes are set for the day. I'm back and forth on quite a bit just to make sure that, once they're done, stop their app and what do we need to do next, what's going to happen. I do the in the division, oversee the billing for the division, and take care of all the customer service. I pretty much, since we're new, I like to be involved in everything so that I know what's happening and where the deficits are, so I can make sure customer support is huge in service, as we all know. So I try and make sure that in here I'm aware of, and if there's an issue, we take care of it. Communication is everything in order to keep, as well as professionalism and making sure that my staff is well trained. So also providing our various vendors. Hayward MTV or TV thing today. Hayward is one of our main suppliers. So, they do training with Hayward online all the time. We go to the Atlantic City Pool and Spa Show where they do training. Well, hi, Don Mondi. That's a shout out for you. I want to be involved. But in conjunction with that, I'm also responsible to meet with our pool build customers, plaster selections, and then from that point forward, once the pool is take over water delivery, making sure their brush and balances are set up for the first 30 days, and then on perfect service specialist customer. Days, some days.
I was going to ask, obviously your journey into the pool industry, and I'm kind of a little bit distracted over here, guys, because this feed today is just going absolutely nuts. Like my whole page is like full of people just saying thank you and giving us feedback. Nice to see the women in the industry getting out there, becoming well known. If we could only get more. They have been the strongest support in this industry, and that is Brian. And Brian, you're going to have to forgive me because I'm not going to even attempt to say your last name. And then Kim is asking, is this going to be replayed? Yes, there's a little bit of an audio thing, guys. So just hang in there. I'm going to refresh that feed here in just a little bit. So just hang in there for two more minutes. We'll refresh that feed, and that should kind of fix that audio part of it a little bit better. So anyways, ladies, I just love to see everybody jumping online and kind of, messaging and kind of, giving your support out there. It's great. So Megan, I'll let you jump in and.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, you've given us a lot of information on how you have gone through your career as far as at the company that you're with, but you've done a lot of volunteer work in the industry too. I mean, you were president of NESPA. I mean, how did you get involved in working with the associations and volunteering and doing all of that? Because again, you have a lot on your plate, and so I'm not really sure how you do your job and then also help run an organization or an association. That sounds a little insane.
It's a little challenging some days. So going back maybe when I was with a former employer, I had gotten a paper with our membership packet for the Penn Jersey Pool and Spa Association, and there was a form inside of it that said volunteer. Please let us know in what aspect you could do that. Box that said education from being. I was interested in learning more about what the pool industry, because quite frankly, I didn't have an idea. I knew that people took classes. I knew I went to pool and how did that apply to me? So checkbox, I got a phone call from headquarters by a woman who has since passed. Her name was Paulette Petrak. What do you think you can add? You can add to this. We want to bring you on as a volunteer. Sounds interesting what you do. So signed up for something that we call Congress of Committees, which is an event we have every October as part of NESPA, the Northeast Pool and Spa Association, where pool professionals get together for a 2-day period. We break into different committees and we set a strategic plan for what we want to accomplish the following with. And I became part of the education committee and the chair for the education committee. A co-chair, I will say, with Paulette. Her my first mentor in the industry, to be very honest with you. Wonderful woman, taught me a lot. She held my ladder first. Talk a lot more about that later and understand what that means. And she gave me the encouragement, which I had never gotten prior, to be a woman in the industry, afraid to speak my voice. So I learned a lot about education. Once that happened, I started going to the Penn Jersey Pool and Spa Association meetings, because now I'm a part of education. And I'll bring that to Penn Jersey, which is our local chapter. And eventually, I was convinced to join the board and have a seat on the board of Penn Jersey. A couple of years into that, I was a friend of mine, Barb Shope from Integrity Pools, asked me to seat on the NESPA board if I would consider it, because she was stepping down to be a part of her life in sport, taking up some of her time. It's one, just so you know, and so you understand, anybody's on here from that is an organization, it was one night a month originally. Just show up at the meetings, speak your voice, be with like-minded individuals, and make changes in the industry and membership benefits, things like that. So it was only required and a few emails. Once I got up to the NESPA board, it took me about 2 years. I was asked to become part of the executive committee. And if I could be perfectly honest, it's something that changed my life. Volunteer-wise, does it take time? It takes time. And sometimes during work, I've been lucky enough to have employers that have been able to let me take part in certain events that do require time during the day. Once I sat on the NESPA board, I was then asked to sit on the Penn Jersey board of the executive committee for them. So I'm in tandem. So I'm past president of NESPA currently, and I am now the current president of the Penn Jersey Pool, which was an important goal that I set in my career. I talked about my uncle, who I worked for originally in pools, who my father worked for once he retired from his first career. He was the president of the Penn Jersey Pool and Spa Association. And there was a time for my uncle that I felt like my input never. And once I got into the avenue of the Penn Jersey Pool and Spa Association, I promised myself I would become president of Jersey and to go one step and be president of NESPA. And I've accomplished that. And that was, for me, very satisfying for so many reasons, not just to show I can do it, a woman can do it, but also at the same time, if I can exceed anything I set for myself. But in the interim of that, I have met. Look at the women on this podcast right now. We met as, professionals. They're my friends. They're the people I text and call. They're their faces. I'm blessed beyond belief about, I have a full family. Do I have my home family? Yes, I do, who I adore and love. But I also have like-minded individuals, males, these people that I've met that I could never replace. And I'm a lucky girl, woman, I should say. I really am. So
I love that so much
Awesome.
because I think a lot of our stories in the pool industry sometimes sound like we kind of fell into it, right? It wasn't what we planned to do with our lives. It wasn't what we intended to do. And then here we are, we make a career out of it. And your story's a little bit like that, but I love that you also, like, once you got in it, you made it yours and you set goals and you said, I am going to achieve these. I love that. I'm a goal person. And so that's pretty great. You're like, I'm gonna do that for myself and for the industry and for my peers. And so that's fantastic because it doesn't have to be that, you don't have to bumble through this necessarily. Like you can set a plan and set a goal and say, I'm going to do it. And that's what you did.
And Amy and I bonded.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Jamie. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, just Amy and I bonded. We knew this would happen over being mothers. I mean, I'll never forget the first time I met Amy Rullo. I was brought in to meet her in a business setting, and we ended up talking about how my son needed tubes in his ears. And she gave me a recommendation of what to do. And it was not only good professionally for us to build that relationship, but personally, it helped my son. So that's the very first meeting that we ever had, and it built a great friendship.
yeah. And our boys
You make me want to check the box on the you make me want to check the box on the volunteer form.
I know, yeah, right?
Anytime you get that paper, check the box. It's something that you just have to do. When you sit in these collaborative committees, and then you watch that coming year, you come to fruition what we've, the goals we've set, and you were a part of it. What makes this industry different, right? I stand up for what we need and where we're going, and I am in that. And you can't replace that because you can't sit back if you're not taking part and say, well, why isn't this happening? Why isn't that happening? This doesn't make sense.
That's great. So, Jamie, let's talk about you a little bit. You're kind of sitting back over there. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
Sure. My name is Jamie Novak. I live in Bel Air, Maryland, so the Mid-Atlantic area like Amy. I have an almost 14-year-old son named Chris and a puppy dog baby named Maisie, who you may see wander in at some point. But I've held a variety of positions in sales and marketing in the pool industry, as well as another company before I got started, but always working directly for manufacturers. So I think that's kind of interesting to point out because Amy comes from the service professional builder side and I come from the manufacturing side. And I think that my time in sales really kind of helped to make me a better marketer because I got to call on customers and get to know the industry, kind of at the ground level in terms of being in the field and on the streets seeing people. So I think, it's just kind of a different journey than a lot of people on the manufacturing side have taken. So pretty excited about it.
What does your role right now at Aquastar look like? What do you do all day besides Marco Polo me?
Plenty, right?
How much does it Marco Polo me all day? If her boss is listening, that's not what's happening.
Hey Todd, how you doing?
After work.
It's always after and before. So I'm currently the director of branding and communications for Aquastar, which means I get to do something different and fun every single day. I oversee our trade advertising. So technically when I'm talking to Megan, I am working because she is a trade publication. So that's how I justify that. But
that's true. And I do try to sell a lot of things to her when I Marco Polo her.
But we do bounce ideas off as well. So there's always
100%. Yeah. I mean, I just yesterday we had a couple conversations on the phone and on Marco Polo, and it was mostly about work. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think if we tried that? So
John, I think they saved that one. I think they stepped in, and that one was really smooth. Right? Even I bought into that one
for sure. I'm sold.
Yeah, exactly. But no, really, a big part of my job is just to create consistent branding across the platforms through our communications to the field, through our social media. I have the pleasure of working with Steve Barnes, who is one of the smartest people I've ever met, to get information out to pool professionals, like things like the recent changes to VGBA standard for drain covers, things like that. We have to get the message out, and it's really critically important that we do that. So part of the draw of coming to Aquastar was to tell its brand story, which I think is really impressive and it's important for the industry to know. And you'll be hearing more about that from me in the upcoming months.
So tell us what does Aquastar do for people who don't know much about them?
Sure. So we make equipment for pools and spas. We are a vertically integrated company with a single owner named Olaf. So Olaf's actually a tool maker and an engineer by trade. Our products are both designed and manufactured in Ventura, California, where we're continuing to expand and grow to meet the crazy industry demand that we're all seeing. We're up to 9 buildings in Ventura at this point, which is pretty cool. What's also great about Aquastar is we're very agile, so we're able to listen to the dealer base to design products and provide solutions to common pool problems. So you may know Aquastar because of the VGBA drain covers and the blue dot that you see on some of our covers, but really we're so much more than that. We just launched our first cartridge filter after 5+ years of research with unique features, points of differentiation from other things on the market. We have pumps coming out, a retro ozone generator coming out. So lots of exciting things. And being American made, we can really control our own destiny, which, as we all know on this call, is so important, especially over the past couple of years.
Can you,
So-
John, let's have them, they're American made. We get you guys to kind of start creating some pumps and heaters? You think we can?
Well,
we
the pumps are on the way.
The pumps are on the way. There you go.
Yep.
See, John?
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. I didn't know that. Pumps and then filters too. I'd like to get some information on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll follow up with you after this, and just kind of sharing the word and spreading the good news. We just did an e-blast yesterday that our filters are in stock and available to order, so that's something that is pretty exciting. Anything you guys need, reach out anytime, and for those listening as well.
Perfect.
There may be an article in Pool Pro magazine about their new filter too, John, that you could check out.
Absolutely.
We can send that link.
I will.
Yeah. And also, I mean, you guys may not know this, but Jamie has her MBA from Johns Hopkins, so she's a little bit of a smarty pants. So I'm going to ask you, Jamie. I feel like you said Aquastar is vertically integrated, which to me means nothing. What does that actually mean for people who didn't get their MBA from Johns Hopkins?
Oh, sorry. I probably stole that from Todd anyway. So no, basically we do everything in house. We're able to kind of, from napkin concept to producing the final result, we can kind of control everything in our facilities and with our teams.
Thank you for explaining that to me. That's
you.
one of those things that I hear people say, and I'm always like, I need to really look up and see what that means.
Well, I appreciate you
Hey
asking.
guys, I'm going to jump in. So for those of you that are only listening, you can't obviously see this, but check this out. Check the. Let me see if you guys can see the picture. There's the Hayward van. Brian just sent me that picture.
That's awesome.
Isn't that
Oh,
cool?
with video too, huh?
With the video,
That's really
you got the
cool.
whole
I like
video
that.
going
Hi
on.
guys.
Hi guys.
You are the man, Brian. We appreciate that.
So, Jamie, tell us about your journey in the pool industry and how you ended up at Aquastar.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I started my career out of college, actually not in the pool industry. I was with Newell Rubbermaid, like the trash cans and tools and Sharpies, calling on depots and Walmarts in the Washington, D.C. area. So I transitioned to the pool industry with, at the time, Zodiac Pool Systems on April Fool's Day in 2005. Very memorable date. I remember it mostly because I wore the wrong shoes to a weekend sale event, and I will never do that again. My feet hurt for weeks. But it was an overwhelming start in the industry because I was new to pools. I was new to the territory, so it was a lot, but it was a lot of fun. I was quickly promoted to be a business development manager, where I was sent to Lyon and Toulouse, France, to help launch Zodiac's first robotic pool cleaner back here in the States. So that was a trip that really kind of helped to shape the rest of my career because I was able to kind of be involved at the ground level with a product launch, going to France and learning about how the product would work and then bringing that information back, again, being that sharer of information to help the marketing team here in the States create product manuals, sell sheets, the marketing campaigns. It really kind of sparked a passion for product and brand management that I have with me today. So when I left Zodiac, I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. So I could probably see the chuckle on Megan's face right now when I say that. Can you have a chuckle on your face? You know what I mean. Anyone who knows me will laugh at that because it's really not how I'm wired. I can't sit still and neither can my son, to be honest with you. So I actually interviewed for natural chemistry, a regional manager position with natural chemistry when my son was just 2 weeks old. So that was my first trip out of the house. I was wearing stretchy maternity pants and it should have ended after an hour. I think we stayed 2 to 3 because I was like, I just need a break. Can I just stay here and talk to you just a little bit longer? Nobody on this call knows anything about that, right? But I have to
That
say,
was 2 weeks, John. The baby was 2 weeks, and she was already kind of done with.
it is the hardest job in the world to stay home with kids. So it's I was not very good at. No, I'm just kidding. But basically, I have to say, natural chemistry and Jay Birchie had zero hesitation hiring me, even though my son was so young. I didn't start until he was 4 months old, so there was a little bit of a gap between the interview and the start date. So, but he trusted my ability to do the job, and I kind of made it my mission to prove him right. Like I worked in sales for a few years, but my passion was always marketing. So I kind of started doing both for the company. I would call on dealers in the territory during the day, and then do like marketing projects at nights and weekends, simply because I wanted to. I know that sounds nerdy, but I did. So that hard work paid off and thanks, Mike, and led to a transition full time to marketing in 2012. And I worked for as a brand manager for NC Brands with both product and brand management. So things like product labels and pricing and trade shows up until May of 2021 when I took this new role with Aquastar.
Now, you say that you can't sit still and you're always on the go, go, go.
Yes.
And there's, rumors around that you were a major road warrior.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, that is absolutely true. So, as mentioned, my son Chris was a newborn, and traffic in the Mid-Atlantic can be a beast. During show season, it could be even crazier, where you'd have like a distributor show in Virginia Beach on Tuesday and have to be at a show in Philly by Thursday. But I was determined. I was going to be everywhere, and I was going to prove myself. So, I mean, there were a lot of times that I would work Northern Virginia, come home, have dinner with my son and my family, and put him to bed, get back in the road at like 9, 10 o'clock at night, go stay in a hotel for an early show the next day. So I was covering 6 states, and I put 64,000 miles on my car in 1 year, which was crazy.
That's insane, right, John?
Wow.
Yeah, PSA, please tint your windows, because when you drive that much and you don't have tinted windows, your face will start to age differently. It really actually happened. Megan laughs because I tell everybody this. Google truck driver sun damage and you will know what I'm talking about.
I saw that picture that you sent me.
Yeah.
That was insane. I got to send that to John.
It's insane. But what's interesting about us on the manufacturing side and my journey, and I wanted to make sure that I mentioned this, is that 2 out of 3 of the companies that I've worked for have approached me because of networking. Oh, there goes Maisie. Every time. They approached me because of networking that I'd done over the years. So like I met Jay Birchie years before he hired me. The same goes for my current boss, Todd, Pierre. So on the manufacturing side, we all kind of travel the same show circuits, and we get to know each other. Like Amy said, we've become this, crazy pool family. And it's so important to build a network of different types of people that you can reach out to throughout your career for advice, whether it's male or female. And you want to build what a very good friend of mine named Carrie taught me is your own personal advisory board with people with diversity of thought, because you just never know. Like someday from that advisory board, someone could reach out and offer you your dream opportunity. You just don't know how the world's going to work. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Networking is huge, huge. Now, I want to backtrack a little bit, because you were working for natural chemistry. So what specifically were you responsible with natural chemistry?
Pretty much everything to do with that brand. So Natural Chemistry was a family-owned business until 2019, when it was acquired by Biolab, Kick, Alicia's company, and that's how I met Alicia. So as more and more people were not part of the Natural Chemistry brand anymore, more and more things came on my plate. And so I would do pricing, product labels, trade advertising, marketing, social, you name it, I did it with NC. And I think, it kind of created this passion for that brand that, I haven't felt about many things in my life, because it was kind of like my baby at that point. So, brand ambassador, even out in the field, working the trade shows, things like that. So, you name it, I did it at that time, and was definitely open to some help. But I had a great team of the people that remained towards the end. And Alicia obviously came on and took over some of the NC stuff as well. We worked very closely together.
Yeah, that's great. And John, I was talking about it to Jamie, especially because, when you have products and you talk about getting into distribution, it's very hard to get a product to be successful in distribution because there's not a sales floor. It's not like you could go walk around the sales floor and be like, oh, here's this product, here's that product, and have exposure to that. So really, it's kind of tough because you can have some great products, but unless the counter people are talking about them or sharing those, you really kind of don't get a lot of exposure to that. So Jamie and I were talking about, especially like natural chemistry and how they were able to really kind of bring that brand to the forefront and really be known well in the industry. Because everybody does the shows, right? You kind of have all these companies that take products to the shows, but not always all of them actually push through and become popular within the industry. So, so amazing job there, Jamie, with that product and really kind of getting that product out there.
And we had such a great sales team. I mean, if you saw some of the photos and videos from our sales meetings back in the day, I mean, we had just the best culture at Natural Chemistry. And I think a lot of the relationships that these guys and girls had in the field with their customer base is a huge reason of that. So I was able to provide support on the back end, and having been one of the field reps, I know what you say or don't say to a distributor versus a dealer and the messaging and how that has to be. So I think it's really important for people in marketing to get out in the field and ride around with their sales reps and sales team and see, what the dealers are saying. You can do it socially, you do social listening of what people are saying on the forums, but it's even more important, I think, to get out there and get into these stores and distribution branches in person and see what you can learn. Just listen.
You talked about Natural Chemistry being purchased by Biolab, and that's how you met Alicia. So let's all meet Alicia.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Hi. So tell us, Alicia, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Biolab.
I am Alicia Stevens. I've been in the industry 21 years now. So I work for Biolab. I'm in charge of a couple of different things. My newest title is Branding and Education Manager. Branding is kind of new. I ended up with some very, very big shoes to fill for such a small person, Jamie. You leave behind some big shoes. You really do.
I do have big feet anyway, though. Thank you.
So I've taken on some new things kind of in the past year or so, but education is my passion, and that's what I've been doing for Biolab for the last few years. So so I don't have any kids, so that's not part of my story unless you count the furry ones that you might see pass through the screen. I got plenty of those. But,
we saw one already, by the way. I didn't call it out, but I...
Was it on the floor,
yeah.
At least? Or, yeah, you never know what's going. Yeah, like if you could see beyond the scope of my camera right now, you'd be amazed at what goes on around me. So,
Alicia, just to let you know, before you jumped on, we kind of have squares going to see how many are going to go by. So everybody's kind of got bets going over on the
hilarious.
side. So they sent them
That's
to me,
hilarious.
like, hey, so that's why Jamie's like, I saw one. I think that's Jamie telling me, hey, there's my number.
Yeah. Yes.
So
yeah.
far.
Okay.
Counting.
All right. Well, is it different cats or just how many times you see a cat pass?
Just a cat.
Just a cat. All right. Well,
But
those are my
Alicia-
children. So,
Alicia, you could tell Jamie that we'll go ahead and we'll leave that for later.
right.
We'll leave
I
that
want
for
to
later,
Leaf
right?
it.
You leaf it.
Let's
Yeah.
leaf
You're barking up the wrong tree, Jamie.
Oh, it begins. Oh, boy.
Here they-
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say there were.
I nicknamed her the pun master when we worked together because this was all day long, just so you know.
I could go on all day long. I mean, I told you I've swallowed 80 puns already about your tree.
I love
It didn't happen.
You want to come write headlines for Pool Pro Magazine, Alicia? I think we've got a second career for you.
I write all the time, just stupid, like it's honey stuff. So that's what I do. I love it. I have a whole Facebook thing going. If you're not friends with me on Facebook, because I travel all the time, and it's a series of, I call it traveling for idiots, because you guys travel, right? You know what you see every day when you're airports and everything, and it's just this long litany of what you deal with as a traveler. But that's what I do. I like to make people laugh. So
You've had some good ones lately, some good travel tales that I've
yeah.
enjoyed.
I'm gonna
So
have to
if
share some more stories with you.
Yeah.
Trying to get those. That sounds great.
I can't imagine at this point anybody in our industry does not know what Biolab does, but just in case, could you give us the rundown of what Biolab is and what it does and what it makes for our industry?
Sure. We're a chemical manufacturer. Our parent company is Kick Consumer Products. So Amy's kind of on the service professional side, and Jamie's now more into the, as you say, vertically integrated corporate world, and I'm in like the big corporate world. So yeah, we manufacture a lot of things. Chlorine, if you missed the memo, we do manufacture trichlor and tablets, etc. But we're also we provide a full line of chemicals. So liquid, solids, chlorine, sanitizer, shocks, all of that. So we are a chemical manufacturer. Our brands are BioGuard and Natural Chemistry, C Clear, Pro Series, Spa Guard, Pro Guard, all of those. So that's what Biolab does. I'm like you said, most people know what we do, but yeah, that's who we are, and I have been with them for a long time at this point.
I was actually was at your offices last week when I
Sorry,
was
I
in
missed
Atlanta.
it. Yeah.
I know I didn't get to see you there, but I will say I felt like I knew what you guys did. But walking into those offices and actually seeing all the brands on the wall, I was like, oh, I didn't know I did that one too. It's a lot.
Yeah, we even outside the pool industry, we have a lot within our umbrella. But yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot going on in the building as you walk around. You never know who's going to be talking about what. But it's interesting. It's an interesting place to work.
By the way, Megan, they did say that whoever were the hosts and co-hosts for the show, that they were going to send us with everything paid over once the new plant is open. And we're going to be able to see it all out there. They're going to take us over there. So
I got to tell you,
we could probably arrange that.
I mean, they don't even have to pay for me to go. I just want to go to that ribbon cutting ceremony and I just want to see it. So I mean, you joke, but I think I'm probably going to make that happen. So just
we're
FYI.
talking state-of-the-art facility. Can you imagine?
Right.
Yep.
And I'm
a
a manufacturing nerd. I love seeing plants and I love seeing how things get made. And I have not been in a chemical plant yet. And so other than like where my husband works, that doesn't count because it's not in the pool industry. So I really want to do this.
We have a video, Megan. I'll send it to you. That's been documenting the process of building. We actually have a time lapse camera that's pointed at the construction site all the time, so we can pull progress and things from that. So
that's some really smart.
We're invested in the manufacturing.
That's some really smart branding, Alicia. Good job.
Yeah. Zach is mad over here, sending me messages, kind of cussing at me that he missed a podcast that I shouldn't have let him skip today. So
that's awesome.
And by the way, John, Janie is saying yes, please. She wants to go too. So.
Oh yeah, we're total geeks when it comes down to it. We might not look like it.
Oh,
but
I'm a nerd, so
oh my God,
we'll see if we can't nerd out together. That would be fun.
So before we get into our next question, Edgar, you want to break?
Oh, yes. Look at that. Oh, my God. We've been talking for 57 minutes already.
Time flies when you're having fun.
And I got, I'm like totally like been the whole time distracted over here because I'm going to have to take a screenshot of this and post it for you guys because that list of just the comments just will not stop. I'm here trying to answer everybody. So it's awesome. So, guys, let's do this. Let's take a quick word from our sponsors. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation.
The SPPA is dedicated to the niche general liability insurance needs of pool and spa professionals. As industry leaders, we'll fight for you, protect you, and be there for you. We provide extraordinary service before and after the membership and insurance is in effect. Insured members of the program get the best customer support and have peace of mind that their alliance is their voice and always fighting for their program and insurance needs. We proudly insure thousands of pool and spa professionals across the United States. With over 30 years encompassing the pool and spa industry, we know the needs of pool and spa professionals. Through the SPPA program, there are 3 tailored and customized general liability insurance options to pick from. For more information on our programs and insurance options, visit our site at www.thesppa.com. The sound of you continually pitching pool care poles into the trash. The sound of you using an Ultimate Pool Tools carbon fiber pool care pole for years to come. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add recurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at blu-rayxl.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Welcome back, everybody. We are talking to Amy, Jamie, Alicia. We have Megan co-hosting our podcast today. Before we continue our conversation, ladies, I do want to give a couple more shout outs over here. So we have Julie, big shout out to you. Maggie, shout out to you. And where are you? Where are you? We have one more. There you go. Ed Morrison, big shout out to you. Big shout out to all you guys. Oop, look at that. I got a new message over here. Somebody's telling us, gotta tell you, I say Blu-ray all day a lot. So, let's see here. Somebody had asked, Megan, I don't know if you happen to know this statistic or not. And right as I'm talking, my messages just kind of keep flipping on me. So just bear with me. If we happen to know how many women are in the industry that are doing a lot more of the working in the field with regards to plumbing, electrical, any of that. Any of you guys happen to know that?
You want statistics in the
know.
pool industry? That's not how we do
What's wrong
things
with you,
around here,
Edgar?
Come on.
I think whoever sent that message set me up over here. So anyway, so Shannon as well, shout out to you. Kim, shout out. So thank you to all of you guys for listening, and keep sending your messages. If you guys have questions, keep sending those in there. So John, I'm going to let you jump in. Go next.
Yeah. Alicia, can you talk to us about your journey in the pool industry and how you ended up in your current role as manager of education?
Yeah, it was never, growing up, it was never, I want to be in the pool industry. I actually wanted to be a backhoe driver. So my dad got a big kick out of that, but it never,
awesome.
it wasn't, I want to be in the pool industry. So I grew up in the small town, Illinois. If you think you know how small it is, go about 10 times smaller than that, and that's literally where I grew up. So I went off to college with dreams of going to medical school. I studied biology. Then I lost interest in medical school completely, and I came to Georgia to go to grad school. Not really sure what I wanted to do with my life, just kind of finding my path. And at the end of that, I hated what I was doing still, and I was still trying to figure out what my life was going to look like. So I took a temporary summer job. A friend of mine at the time just called and said, "Hey, I know you're trying to figure out, what you're going to do. I saw this ad for a temp job that might buy you some time. I was like, thank you very much. I'm going to call. So I called, and it was BioLab, and it was they hire on people in the summer because the phone volume goes up, and they need some extra hands. So I got hired to answer phones for BioLab in their customer service department. And I was just buying myself some time. I'm hanging out in Georgia. My whole family's in Illinois. I don't know where I'm going with my life. And so that was supposed to be 3 months. And 21 years later, I'm still there. And I started in customer care, which I will say to this day that's probably one of the best things I've ever done for my career. Is I spent 3 years in their customer care group, and I learned pools from smart people, from people that you question their intelligence. I learned from dealers, I learned from customers, I learned from so many people, and you just really know pools when you do something like that. So
Wait, didn't you learn from me at one point? So how should I take that comment? Okay, I'm
Wait,
just
which
saying.
category?
I'm just saying.
That's learning from the best.
Oh,
just
good
had gotten
recovery.
there, yes. Literally saving the best for last. So, anyway, so I did that for about 3 years, and with my background, I had a biology background and a little bit of engineering background from grad school. So the R&D department, one of the gentlemen there, David Rouse, came to me and said, and you're a good fit for my group. I really want you to make a move. So I did that. I was like, okay. So I spent a few years in R&D, and I did, product testing and things like that, and kind of a liaison between taking what comes out of the minds of brilliant scientists and working on getting it into the hands of customers and dealers and consumers. So I did that for a while, and in the process of doing that, I got an opportunity to do some teaching to some of our BioGuard dealers, and I did. The first time I was nervous, and the second time I started to enjoy it, and by the third time I was hooked. And I'm very lucky. We talk about mentors in the industry. I told my boss at the time, David Rouse, I said, I really like that. I really like that, and he said okay, and he gave me every single opportunity he possibly could to get in front of people and start teaching. And I was just I found my passion. So I found a passion for pools, as I came through the ranks, but then I really found a passion for education. So passion, and kind of morphed out of the R&D side of things and more into the sales and marketing side of the business with a true focus on education. So I started doing dealer education and all sorts of things. So it's been an amazing journey. Over the past year, I've started to grow even more and take on more branding responsibility. Someday I'll talk to Jamie again because she left, but that's okay. I'm learning things in her absence. But so yeah, it's been really interesting. One of the highlights of my career though is I used to teach a class. I still do occasionally about recreational water illnesses, and one of the things I do is I say, you guys know that recreational water illnesses can come from body waste, literally. So I said, look, if you've got the brown trout, get it out. That was my tagline. If you've got the brown trout, get it out.
Oh my God.
And so I'm standing in the
love you on
hallway
that show.
one day.
I've never
Yeah.
heard that before.
I love you.
I've never heard that before.
So I'm standing in the hallway at a class one day, just having a conversation. Somebody walks up to me, and their eyes are huge, and they go, oh, and I'm like, what's coming next, And he goes, "You're the brown trout lady," and I'm like, that's what my career's been reduced to. My mom had all these aspirations for what I was going to be, and I became the brown trout lady. So.
Wow.
God, I love it.
So anyway, so my career, I found a passion, and I have been lucky enough to be given many opportunities to build on that and to hone my skills. And truly, I have a love for public speaking. I like to talk to people. I like to get on stage. I like to do that, and I will take every opportunity that I can to stand up in front of people and talk about pools. So that's what I do, and that's kind of how I got there. It's definitely been an interesting journey.
So how many?
two
Sorry,
things right
Edgar.
off
I
the
feel like
bat.
you and I keep trying to talk like at the same time. We're not very good at this co-host thing.
No, there are two things. One, to me, John, I think is really cool that she's actually on the research and development side. Like, really, when do you get to do both, right? You get to do the education and all that, but then to be in the research and the development side, how cool would that be with products and stuff like that? That you do that, and then she says that she loves to be on stage. And so when she says that, what do you think, John? Let's see if you and I are in the same page.
Oh, she's coming to the awards.
Oh, we're thinking Pool Nation Awards. Let's have her present something right off the
Right.
bat.
Bring it. I will never pass up an opportunity to step on stage with a microphone. And if you know me in real life, though, that's really not who I am. But in the, when I start talking about pools, I'm like, okay, I will do that. So.
I've seen you do Katie. I disagree. The
Same,
same.
same. In my living room.
I would deny it, but there's video evidence, so.
It's not on Marco.
So-
Oh, it might be on Marco Polo. I don't know, Jamie.
It might be.
We have got to get you, Alicia. We definitely have to get you to come to the
I
awards
would
and
love
present an award. So
I will say that in my career I was a little bit insulated at Biolab, and it's been since I met Jamie, and we'll talk more about the impact people have on your lives later. But since I met Jamie, she's really done a good job of stretching my boundaries and getting me familiar with other people. And then I met Amy, and I just it's been so nice to start meeting new people like you guys and things like that. So I'm grateful to be there, and like I said, I'll take any opportunity I can to get up on stage and talk about something. So, but I cannot guarantee I won't crack a joke or two, because I don't think I can talk without cracking a joke.
I think that's what we're all counting on, right?
Yeah, it's mandatory.
yeah, that's the point, right?
Mandatory.
That's
But
like-
if you
that's what-
introduce me as the brown trout lady, I'm not coming.
Do it. Please do it.
Oh my God, I love it. So put it in your calendar, because we're going to put you on, and we're going to have you on there. And even on the chat over here, I have people going, please make sure that she goes. Please do.
Well, I'd be honored. So
Great. Sorry, Megan. I'll back out now, Megan.
Oh, it's fine. I'm just following the questions that you gave me and told me I needed to ask, Edgar. So I'm doing the job that you gave me.
you
But-
could have just said talk amongst yourselves, and we'd still, we probably could have driven right through it. But
Right. Well, we could have probably hit all of these topics anyway, right? So
yes.
how many classes a year are you typically doing then? Or before, and then obviously like this is like a before and after COVID kind of question, because obviously that had to change your job a lot. If you're a person who likes to get in front of people and talk and do all of that, there's not a whole lot of that going on in the last year and a half or two.
So it's been interesting. It was a really, really hard adjustment for me with COVID. And we had done some work education-wise on taking some more things virtual and doing some video production work and everything. And that's just kind of the way of the world, So before COVID, we were already sliding some things more towards the online format. But when COVID hit, I'm used to getting on an airplane, getting off the airplane, greeting people, talking to people, teaching people, and that all stopped. And I ended up just Zoom, 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 Zoom. And you had an opportunity, you slowed down a little bit, right? So you had an opportunity to maybe address some of the things that you hadn't had time to do, and bigger audiences at one time, because everyone could join in on a Zoom. So I pretty much lived on Zoom for about 18 months, whether it was interacting for work. At one point, I think Jamie and I Zoomed 50 times a day, and it was all work, quite honestly. Like, it really was. It was a collaboration tool. But yeah, so we did a lot of Zoom. And I honestly was afraid that even when COVID started, restrictions started back off, that we would stay in a completely digital world. And I'm grateful to say we're not. At least what I'm doing is not. And I'm finding that dealers and customers are so happy to see people in person again. I taught a class on Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. All day, and they shut their store down and brought all their people in, because they just wanted to have an in-person interaction where it was more give and take, and it was really valuable. So I was afraid that we were going to just go so far to the digital side that we'd never come back from that. And as a person that likes to speak, that would have been really disappointing for me. But I'm finding that the human element is still there, and the face-to-face element is still so valuable. So I'm working right now. I've traveled the last, I don't know, 8 weeks in a row, and I've got another 8 or 10 in a row coming up that just getting out and getting out with our customers. So and I'm learning new things. I'm doing some distributor shows, which I'm excited about, and I've never done before. So I'm really the in-person interactions.
I do want you to know that you're kind of a little famous, and you might not think that. You might not think that people don't recognize you. But I even have people on the chat going, I recognize her voice from the Pool Chasers. There you go.
Yeah,
See
yeah.
how people are listening, and they put two and two. So absolutely. Now they're asking Western show anyone, or any one of you guys going to the Western show?
I'll
So
be there.
Megan's going, Jamie's going,
Can't
Alicia.
wait.
I am not currently scheduled to go, but that's a little up in the air at the moment. So possibly.
Do me a favor, send me the email and phone number to the CEO of Biolab, and I have no shame in my game whatsoever. And Zach and John are my proof, because I'll sit there and I'm like, hey, we wanted to talk about interviewing stuff. Emailing the CEO of Indeed. I never got a response, but I'm like, I'll go.
But you shot your shot.
But I shot my shot, and I'm like, I'm going to the top. I'm not going, down and working my way up. I'm starting up and then
That's
kind of
awesome.
come down. So send that over, and John and I will do a conference call, right, John? And we'll get on there and we'll be like,
Can I
go over
listen?
really well. Yeah.
Can I listen,
we
please?
need,
Right.
and here's how we're gonna do it. We're gonna be like, we're not asking, we're telling you to. Question for you: do you guys have a private jet? Does Biolab?
No,
No.
no, we
Okay.
don't.
Okay. So it is first class all the way, first class hotel, and book it and send her over to the show.
First class on Southwest all day long.
There you go, all day long.
Yep.
That's my brand. I love that plane.
I can hear. I used to travel Southwest all the time, but
Greyhound of
I
the
live
sky.
in-
I love it.
I live in Atlanta. I'm a Delta girl, so
so I'm assuming, Alicia, if you travel that much, you're probably one of those that gets bumped up all the time with all the travel that you do.
Actually, no. The problem is that Atlanta's the busiest airport in the world, or it used to be. Now it's in the top 2 or 3. It may not be the busiest anymore. And trust me, there are business travelers, lots of business travelers that travel more than I do, and they all pass through Atlanta. Every one of them. So
That's a bummer.
I do occasionally, but not as often as I would
Not as
like.
often.
So yeah.
So, anyways,
Go through Atlanta. You have to go between, what is it, the A and B terminal or whatever, where they have that cool like safari or rainforest thing set up. Alicia, you've been through it, haven't you?
Oh, trust me, I've been through it, and if you come through it the morning after a pool industry event the night before, it's trippy. Let me tell you, it does not improve the feeling in your head.
Never had that problem.
here I have the CEO of Biolab listening to what I'm saying, and all of a sudden we're talking about trivia. He's going to be like, you know what? Let's kind of hold
Yeah, never
off.
mind.
Let's edit that. Let's edit that out.
Let's talk to Edgar and John again and kind of work our way through this. So, anyways, I have over here people making fun of me, so I'm just going to ignore that for now. But, anyways, so ladies, this is a male-dominated industry. Can you guys share some of your experiences when you've had to deal with men in our industry that maybe haven't been so welcoming or treated you differently because you are a female?
Now we're getting to the good stuff.
The good.
This is when we're going to talk all over each other, so we should probably just apologize.
Alicia, you can
in the
go
beginning.
first if you want to.
Yeah, so I've been here 21 years, in the industry for 21 years, and it's the only career really I've ever known. And it has gotten better over the last few years. Edgar, you and I kind of talked about that and the change that's happened in the industry, but there have been plenty of times in the past where you just completely get overlooked because you're a woman. You're not even considered. And even working the NPC show the other night, which by the way, I'm sorry, Megan, I missed you, and Amy, I'm sorry that I missed you. When I was working the trade show, and I watched a guy walk past the table, and every single time he walked past, I greeted him. I said hello, and he just kept walking past. And then one of my male coworkers came over to the table with me, and then all of a sudden he stopped and asked a question, and I'm like, man, I really thought we were past that, but we're not quite past that yet. So, but the funniest thing was he asked the question, and my coworker said, I don't know, ask her, she knows more than I do. Which made me laugh. But
Awesome.
yeah, it's just interesting. But I've been fortunate that two of my three biggest mentors in the industry have been men that did nothing but try and give me every opportunity on the planet. But there have been plenty of times that I have felt discriminated against, and I don't fit the just to be personal, I don't fit the young, pretty pool girl stereotype. So even that has caused me to be overlooked in many, cases. We had an instance in the past where, there was a dinner, and my entire team got invited to this dinner where I did not, because I did not fit the look and feel of what they were going for. And it made an impact on me, very much so. And it was very hurtful. And I feel like, in a different situation, had I been a male, I would have been invited regardless. And, it was just one of those things where if you're not a female, you don't deal with it. And it was just it was very hurtful. But you move on from it, and you grow from it, and you surround yourself with the people that do lift you up, and the people that do support you and help you. And like I said, I'm very fortunate. Two of my biggest mentors in my career, David Rouse and rest his soul, David Cruz, who, if I can just give a moment, a shout out to him. We lost him recently, and what a loss of a person, a human being, and certainly to the industry. But two of the biggest people in the industry that have helped me move my career forward. And then I handed the reins to Jamie, and she's working on it. But so, but yeah, so just I've definitely felt discrimination, and it's definitely something that as a male in the industry, you guys would never feel it or see it, and as much as I'd like to say it's gone, it isn't yet, but it's certainly getting better.
Like that's really a good point to bring up because it's something that I have had some conversations with some people about recently about you kind of have this pressure on you anyway to grow in your career and do all the things. But then as a woman, I mean, let's be honest, you have the added pressure of then you need to be wearing the right clothes and need to have the right hairstyle and you need to look a certain way. And sometimes that's your way in. And that's not great. Right. And that's also not sustainable, like we're humans who have bad days and bad hair days and go through stressors and have the ups and downs of everybody else. And like the fact that in the midst of everything else that we're dealing with, we're also supposed to look perfect and look a certain way is just insanity.
And I have honestly, I have held. I don't mean to dominate the conversation, but I have I've made a decision for myself that I'm not, I don't conform to wear the certain thing and the certain hairstyle and all those things.
Good for
I
you.
mean, look at me, I don't, and I'm not going to because that hurts who I am, and I'm not going to do that. And I shouldn't have to.
Right.
I should be able to advance on my brain and my skills and my experiences, and it shouldn't have anything to do with my gender at all, and certainly not how I look. But like I said, it gets better all the time, but it's certainly still there.
Well, and it's hard too because it's like there are people who will overlook you because of you're a woman or because of you don't have the blonde hair or whatever it might be, but there is no greater success than being yourself. And that's something that I kind of said to when I bought the magazine. That was something that I told myself. It was like you have to be yourself, and you can't pretend to be something that you're not. And it's kind of, I think maybe the thing that served me the most. And because people want that authenticity, and even if they overlook you because of whatever, they're probably not a great person anyway. And so we can just move on from that.
You wouldn't put them on your personal advisory board?
I wouldn't. Yeah.
Come on. I actually had somebody tell me once that a dealer took a meeting with me to see what I looked like because I was a girl on the phone, but I just laughed it off like, yeah, okay, whatever. Probably looked like I had wet hair and didn't even dry it that day because there was a phase that I went through that's how I looked.
They haven't seen our Marco Polos, Jamie.
Oh,
They
God.
haven't seen the real
Nor will they ever.
Circle of trust, Megan.
Yes,
Circle of
yes.
trust.
That's right.
I think all female sun challenges in so many different not side, being on the service side, and it's not like I'm out in people's backyards, starting filters and troubleshooting pumps. You do meet with customers. I do meet with a lot of customers. My design customer, they want to hear what I have to say all day long because I am a female. So my input counts. When it comes to service, not so much. I get asked constantly, where's your boss? Can I talk to your boss, please? Is it, and I do have a boss, but guess what? This is my department. If you get to me, there's a problem. So you are going to talk to me because it means my technicians have passed you to me. That means there's something's happened. I need to be involved in.
I can hear the Philly coming out when you're saying that, Aim. You talking to me?
But it's even when it comes to salaries, when it comes to being hired for positions, darn right well most of the time that you're fighting for what you ask, and that's a tough ask sometimes, right? I may be able to talk to anybody in a room, but when it comes to certain things, I'm myself because of my past, for things that I've gone through. So I almost feel like you get female to not be able to ask questions, right? And it's disconcerting sometimes because I know that I'm worth more. I know my worth is across from somebody that maybe potentially or you're afraid to put your ass out there. It becomes a whole other conversation. And Jeannie did a wonderful in-person luncheon for our women in the industry group. Your brand, making your brand, and since that, since I've been even at my age, and by the way, I'm not old, I'm working on my brand every day and being able to ask the questions and put myself forward a little more. You do stand. Sometimes you're the only woman in the room when it comes to certain things. I was pleased. PC, I was taking classes with not just one woman, it's usually just one other woman, with multiple women. And it was for the Plaster Council. So that's a whole to the Atlantic City Pool and Spa Show or a Pool and Spa Show or whatever. It's a whole, it was a pleasure to look around and, be able to go and say, hey, who are you? Where are you from? And be able to have a conversation. So, tough some days being in a male-dominated industry, and you're perfect clothes, perfect hair. I have bad hair days all the time. I have swings, put all that forward because that's what's going on with her.
Well, and you're memorable as the woman, right? The only woman in the room. They're going to remember you when you have a bad day versus, I hate to say it.
I will say I've seen plenty of men with bad hair days. There are plenty of men with bad hair days.
Cut all mine. Cut all my hair, so I don't have to worry about having a bad hair.
Why did you say that point at John so quick?
Every day.
I just love the point Megan made about your beard earlier. Like, that was the fact that we didn't know you had one because it faded into your.
It really doesn't look
this
like
was before we were recording. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to lean back so we can see it. There you go.
There it is.
I love that point. I love that you bring up, Amy, the fact of it, like working with customers and how that kind of changes the game as far as being a woman in this field, because I do feel like when you're in a position like mine or maybe Jamie's and Alicia's to a certain extent, you are kind of in a protective bubble to a certain extent. You're protected by the brand you represent, and you're protected by the coworkers you have around you. And so, like, to a certain extent, right, like people aren't going to say some of those things to you because you represent this company and they also want to make a good impression on that company. And so, but for you, like out in the field with customers or running into people, face to face who don't know you, don't care about your brand or your company or who you are. I feel like you get a lot more of that unguarded reaction that can be difficult to keep a straight face with. But I don't know. I imagine that do you keep a straight face or do you just give it right back to them?
I think more often in those types of situations, and I do the best I can to contain myself. But if it being disrespected, or even being disrespectful to my employees, if I have to change my tone, I am willing to change my tone. But I do try and represent, obviously, my company and keep my wits about me. Kill people with kindness. That's really the way I look at it sometimes, you kill people with kindness and figure out what their problem is. Let people just want to speak, right? They just want to tell you their problem. So if you listen and don't talk for a little bit, a lot of times they'll change. Just let them get it out, and then
Right.
sometimes it's a game changer in a conversation. So, but I know I do try and stay polite as much as I can.
Right.
Jamie,
Yeah.
don't like that.
Trying really hard over here.
What is that? I mean, that's a thing though. I feel like you as you will take a lot yourself, but as soon as it's turned on your team or turned on another woman that you respect in the industry, I feel like everything is off. Like, you can say what you want to me as the boss, but don't you dare talk to one of my employees that way, because I will come for you. So don't cross that line.
You make a point, Megan, about other women in the industry, and that is one of the best feelings in the world that we have fostered over the last couple of years is, don't tear down another woman in this industry. We'll all come after you because we're working so hard to build each other up in an industry where we honestly we need the extra help, and we're very protective of this group, this this class of women in the industry that don't come after us. We're all a family now.
Yeah.
Ladies, I want to continue this conversation. I want to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will continue. So let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
The Hyper Pole from Ultimate Pool Tools is a pool care pole designed by pool professionals for pool professionals, featuring precision-crafted carbon fiber and stainless steel construction. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools. Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add recurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at blu-rayxl.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Blu-ray all day. Welcome back, everybody. We are talking to Jamie. We're talking to Alicia. We're talking to Amy. And I do have somebody on here. I've gone into many backyards to get "You're Gonna Fix My Pool" and tell them that I can, or they can wait 2 weeks more when there's a male tech available. That's from a pool girl.
Can I speak to that? That's yes, I have gotten something very similar. I was out to here pregnant, and they sent me to take a look at a system that wasn't working in a backyard. And they opened the door and he goes, "You're who they sent." I waddled up with my toolbox and I said, "I'm not happy about it either, man." So I totally understand that. Like, you can wait 2 weeks, or you can get me, and you'll probably get the same answer, right? Oh, you're on mute, Edgar.
Haven't done that in a while. Ladies, I want to do one quick thing. So we've been going for a little over an hour, and there was a little bit of a glitch, I think, with the internet, and there's a little jump. So what I'd like to do is obviously this podcast is going to be put out in two because we're just kind of getting into the good stuff right now. So what I want to do for purposes of being able to save this and record this, what I want to do is I want to stop this recording here, and I want us to kind of jump back on and carry on to point number 2. So everybody that's listening to us live, just stay on your streams. What we're going to do is we're going to refresh that feed, and we are going to jump back in and continue that conversation. So hang in there, everybody. Keep listening, and we'll be right back. Okay, guys, I'm going to do this. I'm going to drop the live, and then everybody just jump right back into the studio, and we'll continue with part number 2.
Same link, Edgar?
Same link. Yep. It's
Okay.
just going to bring you right back in.
So
Thanks,
should
guys.
we leave the studio?
Yeah, leave and then just come back in.
Gotcha.
Thanks, guys. Bye.